I just had this very oddly and pleasant experience just now where I put hand cream on because my hands get really just, yikes during the winter. And so I was putting some on and then I had to get my charger for my camera, and while my Roomba was vacuuming, it pushed it all the way under my bed to the point that I couldn't even reach. So having to get down there and get it out, I think I picked up some dog hair that stuck to my hand cream, and it's oh, it's terrible. It's such a weird feeling, I have an extra, I don't know, bundle of hair on me. Anyway, hello. Welcome, folks, to arguably one of the very few 100% waifu sets in Vanguard 0. So today we're going to be taking a look at a quick set analysis of set 11. Oh, sorry, set 10. Set 10 for Vanguard 0 Global. So it's going to be taking a look at all the new cards that come out for the 4 clans that are supported, which are Royals, OTT, Bermuda Triangle, and Angel Feather. So this was a pretty fun meta. It brought out some of my favorite decks as well, and so I definitely enjoyed it quite a lot. But it is definitely the kind of set that, I'll say this from the very start, this is a skippable set if you are free to play and you are saving your funds for some of the really dominating meta decks. You want to be saving for stuff like set 12 where Revengers are in, or even set 11 with Kagero. That's also a really good pickup. So if you're someone that's you're not super into any of these clans, then this is definitely a skippable set. You don't have to, commit all your materials to it. Jewel Knights, while they will be very good on this 1 month of the meta, they will start to slowly fade out over time, and they will get support in the future, but they're not meta relevant enough that if you are just saving for the best decks, or you're not particularly too interested in these decks, you don't need to sink your funds into these ones. I just want to get that out of the way, so people, if there is ever a time where you're like, oh, can I skip this, can I not, I just want to let you guys know. So we're gonna start, of course, with Royals themselves. So of course this is the the first clan in Zero that pops up, and so Jewel Knights got quite a bit of support together with other break ride support for Royal Paladins. So Jewel Knights got 2 starters. The one that most people use is the Heloise. Her skill is very simple. If you have 4 more Jewel Knight rearguards, then she gets plus 3k, and Jewel Knight is in her name. So of course this is an archetype, so just like Eradicators, it's part of the name of the cards. So this is really good. She's an 8k booster, and a lot of the Vanguards, the grade 3 Vanguards in Jewel Knights, hit for 13 minimum, so 13 or 14, and so with this you're hitting for 21, 22 all the time, and you're able to make magic numbers with the grade 3s all the time, which is really important in order to just push early damage or go into Turbo Salome, which we'll talk about a bit later. So that's a great starter. The other one is Tiffany. Tiffany is alright as well. You put her into the soul to give 2 of your Jewel Knight rearguards plus 3k. This can help you to kind of go over your opponent's defensives and not get denied by that. So it's pretty nice for that reason, but that's kind of the main thing with her, so most people still use Tiffany. Then we also got the Ambrosius. So his skill is rearguard circle, put him into the soul to draw 1 and discard 1. So just there to filter and get you an extra soul. And then some decks do use the Primgle, which is when he boosts a Limit Break 4 possessing unit at the end of that battle, you may put him into your soul to draw a card. So here you're not discarding anything, it's an actual card draw, and it gives you a soul as well in case you're running a soul heavy deck. So starters, those are them. They are those. Anyway, looking at the grade 1s here, we have the new Perfect Guard, which is Jewel Knight named, so this works like the new Eradicator ones, etc. Then for Jewel Knights, we got Prismy. When placed on rearguard circle, if you have 4 or more Jewel Knight rearguards, including this card, then you can discard 1, draw 1. This card is used just because you sometimes have too many grade 3s in hand, you want to discard them and top deck into your Interceptors, because Jewel Knights can only call grade 1s for the most part, outside of 1 card, or 2 cards actually. So you want to be discarding your grade 1s and your grade 3s sometimes to draw into those grade 2s or draw into your PGs. So Prismy is good at a few copies. And then there's the 10k attacker Sherry, but she's unique in that her skill works on both turns. So she says in the front row rearguard circle, if you have 4 or more Jewel Knight rearguards, she gets plus 3k on both players' turns. So as long as you have 4 more rearguards with Jewel Knight in their names, then she'll be 10k, and the 12k attacker is exactly the same. Then Richard came out in this set as well. Rearguard circle in place from deck, soul boss 1, draw a card. This will be very important in the future in G, but for now it's already a great card in Sanctuary Guard, which is one of the decks introduced in this set as well. So that's something you can look forward to. Another Jewel Knight grade 1 is the Urien. Kalmas 1, gain 1k. You don't play it for the, for the effect, just for the name itself, for being a Jewel Knight. And then we have the Rendgull. So this is when placed from deck. For that turn, gain 3k. Nothing too special, just a 10k booster or attacker, so kind of skippable. Then this is the Jewel Knight Merumi. So this is a self-damager for Royal Paladin and is Jewel Knight named, which means that you can actually Superior Call it with all the skills that say Superior Call it Jewel Knight, so you can turbo yourself into Limit Break, which is good for this Salome, which we'll take a look at later. Then there's the Sanctuary Guard booster. So when you boost the Sanctuary Guard, soul plus 1 to gain 5k, so 11k booster. Nothing too fantastic. And then when this boosts a Limit Break 4 possessing unit, gain 3k, so 9k booster for Limit Break. Again, nothing too crazy. So that's the grade 1s. Overall, good quality for Jewel Knights and also for regular Royal Paladin builds as well. Then, looking at the grade 2s, our first double rare is the Constance. So his skill is, when his attack hits a Vanguard, you may count on +2 on Vanguard and Rearguard Circle, and call any grade 1 or lower unit from your deck to a Rearguard Circle. So this is cool because this basically allowed you to build a Xenon-based deck with a new Sanctuary Guard, which I made a video on, so you can check that out if you want to. It's a really fun meme deck. I honestly had a lot of fun playing it in ranked, so you can definitely give that a try. But this might come up in the future as well. Count on +2 to call 1 is a little bit heavy, but it's in the middle of the battle phase, which could lead to future combos. So I would, you know, if you pull this in SP or something and you don't have like the full playset, I would maybe hold on to them. But don't necessarily have to like chase them in order to craft them and stuff. However, a card you definitely have to craft if you want to be playing Jewel Knights is the Tracy. Tracy says if you have 4 more Jewel Knight rearguards, she gains +3k. And yes, she will be 12k on your opponent's turn. So they have to get over her either by boosting or by retiring enough so that you have 4, or you have basically less than 4 Jewel Knight rearguards. And keep in mind that when they attack your first interceptor, even if it's cleared, if you still have 3 in the back row and the front row rearguard, then you still have 4 Jewel Knight rearguards. So they basically have to kill them. They have to basically retire stuff in order to not give you your +3k buffs. That's very, very important and a great double intercept to set up because it makes it pretty hard to clear. Now, how do we get more Jewel Knights? Well, Sybil comes to the rescue. When placed on Vanguard and Rearguard Circle, count on +2 to search your deck for a grade 1 or lower Jewel Knight and call it. So, unfortunately, you know, they didn't buff her to be just count on +1 like Tark2, but that's alright. Count on +2 to call Jewel Knight grade 1 is still really good. You can use this to search for a self-damager to get to Limit Break, or you can just search for something like a Prismy to drop 1, discard 1, or just get yourself a 10k attack. So it's also quite good, but it's only a rare. Another amazing card is the Tilda. This card is really good. Her skill is when your grade 3 Jewel Knight Vanguard is placed, you may count on +1 to search your deck for a grade 1 or lower unit. It doesn't say Jewel Knight, so you can search for any grade 1 you want, which is really cool, but you have to ride a Jewel Knight, so keep that in mind. But this card is really good. Very often when you're playing this deck, you're going to be like riding up to grade 2 and then putting 2 Tildas in the back row so your opponent cannot attack them, and then next turn when you ride your grade 3, you just count on +2 to call 2 cards, and you instantly have a full board, and on top of that, you can call 2 self-damagers to push yourself to Limit Break instantly, which is really, really good, and so that makes Tilda pretty damn decent, let's just put it that way. Then there's the self-damager for Royals in grade 2, also a Jewel Knight, so that's pretty cool. Then we have the Crodine, so he's not a Jewel Knight. He's during your turn, if you have Limit Break 4 units, he gains 3k, so 11k attacker. There's another 11k attacker, but he is a Jewel Knight, so during your turn, if you have more rearguards than your opponent, gain 3k, so pretty good. Just for being a Jewel Knight, he is pretty decent if you want to get more 11k/12k attackers. So that's the grade 2s. Then the grade 3s. The Break Ride for Royal Paladin is Ashley, so she's a Jewel Knight Break Ride as well. When you ride on top of her, your Vanguard gains +10k and +1 crit, and then you may also call a grade 1 or lower Jewel Knight from your deck. So this is good in Jewel Knights themselves, but you can also use this in non-Jewel Knight decks by just teching in a few Jewel Knight grade 1s to Superior Call with this skill. That Superior Call skill is a buff, actually. It wasn't there in the TCG. In the TCG, she just got 10k and a crit and nothing else. So it's definitely a really, really welcome buff. It really helps you to set up your board and fulfill that 4 rearguard or more condition for Jewel Knights. Her other skill is when she attacks the Vanguard, she gains +3k, so that's the 14k attack that I talked about earlier. And she is a rank reward later on, so if you don't pull her, you know, you can always grind for her later on in, you know, down the line. And then we have Salome, so I happen to have only 4 SP copies, not a single triple rare. But Salome, she has 2 skills. First is her Limit Break, which is a really good skill. When she attacks, if you have 4 or more Jewel Knight rearguards, for that battle, she gains +2k +1 crit. So this is what I mean by being able to Superior Call your self-damagers early and just push yourself to Limit Break, use this skill to gain a crit, and then the self-damagers put your damage back, and then next turn you're going to get pushed to Limit Break anyway, most likely. So that early crit pressure is really good because you can either, you know, just straight up win the game there, or just push them to 5 because most people are running new PGs, and then win off of them being on 5, which is also really nice. Her other skill helps to fulfill that first one, which is count on +2, and you may call a grade 1 or lower Jewel Knight from your deck. deck, so she can actually ping herself into Limit Break 2 by just superior calling that self-damager. So that's also really nice. So Salome is definitely very great and really cool. And then the final Jewel Knight grade 3 is the Julia. So Julia is the other card that can call non-grade 1, so just like Tilda, Jewel Knights. So she has 2 skills. Her second skill just says when she attacks the Vanguard, gain plus 3k, because she's 10k base. Keep in mind that Salome used to be 10k base in the TCG. She's 11k base now in 0, so keep that in mind. But Julia gains 3k when she attacks the Vanguard, and her limit break is when she attacks the Vanguard for that battle, gain the following skill. At the end of the battle that she attacked, Counterblast 2 and search your deck for the same amount of Jewel Knight cards as this unit's critical and call them to any rearguard circles. So this allows you to call grade 2 Jewel Knights as well, and basically when you break ride this over Ashley, you gain a crit from the break ride. And if you run just a few crits in your Jewel Knights because you superior call so much, you can actually get away with superior calling like 2 cards somewhat consistently, especially if you keep break riding consistently every game, then you'll also have a good chance of being able to superior call 2. So basically what you can do is like swing with both front row rearguards to the opponent's rearguards unboosted, then swing with Julia. She calls 2 new front rows, usually the 12k attackers, and then those boosts are still active in the back, so you can basically just swing with them again. Or you can, if you had to boost for one of them, you can call Sybil off of one of the other calls. That does cost Counterblast 4, but you get a new front row and a back row for one of your columns, so that's also pretty good. So she's a really good card. She helps you to finish games, so when you use Salome to push them to 5, you can then finish the game when they're on 5 with this 5 attack combo from Julia, so it's also really good. And even if she doesn't get a crit from Ashley or from checking crits, just calling one unit is still a 4 attack combo. It does cost Counterblast 2, but calling in the battle phase will never be bad, to be honest. It's really good. Anyway, then the non-Jewel Knight grade 3s, we have Sanctuary Guard Dragon, so he got buffed as well. Limit Break 4, when he attacks for that battle, he gains plus 3k for all of your grade 1 or lower rearguards, so that's the same as it used to be. And then he has Vanguard Circle. When placed, discard a card and search your deck for grade 1 or lower and call it. So again, that's also the same, so you can call stuff like Richard to Soul Blast 1 and draw a card, so that's also very great. But he got a new skill, which is when you ride into him by your card's ability, you can draw 1, and for that turn, he gains plus 10k in a crit. So how do you ride into this by card's ability? Well, cards like Xenon from way back actually let you do that if you get lucky enough, and that's the whole point of that meme deck, is that you get to do things like this. So I don't know if they're gonna do much more with this final skill, but it's definitely a welcome addition and helps you to just go crazy with this deck if you want to. Pendragon also came out in this set. He has Limerick 4 at the start of your main phase. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck and ride a grade 3 from among them. So this also helps you to get into Sanctuary Guard. So you can run if you want to go super budget with Royals, you can make a Pendragon Sanctuary Guard deck if you want to, but you know, that's just something you can do. And then he also has Vanguard Circle. When placed for that turn, gain 5k because he's only a 10k base. So he's an alright card, just like a little bridge basically. And then some of the other commons we got is the 15k on Vanguard Circle, Limit Break 4, and 12k on Rearguard Circle attacker. And then the when your grade 3 Vanguard is placed, gain 10k guys. So that's basically it for Royals. Jewel Knights are really good. Sanctuary Guard is a fun little meme deck, and that's kind of it honestly, but it's definitely some cool support. Now looking at OTT, the archetype to come out for OTT here is Magus. So Magus, you already know from Lozenge Magus, so they basically made a full-on archetype out of that. So there's no new starters unfortunately, but there is the new PG, which is the Tetra Magus, so this one works the way that the new PGs work. There's a 10k attacker if you have a Magus Vanguard, and then the whole gimmick of Magus is predicting the top card. So let's, for example, take Crescent Magus. Her skill says, when she boosts, you declare one card name. And then you reveal the top card of your deck. If the card revealed is the same as the declared card name, for that battle she gains plus 3k. So how do you declare cards? Basically, when this effect comes into action, you get pulled up your deck list of like one of each card, so not the entire list, but just one of each different card that you have in your deck, and you just click the one that you declare, and then if you get it right, you do effects. So sometimes you use cards like Crescent Magus to just check what your top card is, and even if you get it wrong, it's fine. Just a word of note, if you want to be, if you're guessing what your top card is, always guess PG, because a lot of these effects add cards to your hand, so adding a PG to your hand is definitely very nice. So yeah, so that's something that I definitely recommend, and it's overall just, it's a cool little archetype. It's definitely very fun to play. Anyway, then, oh yeah, that's previous support, so there's not actually that many cards for OTT in this set, but they still got a few. We got the 12k attacker for Magus, so when you have a Magus Vanguard. And then we have the Stellar Magus. So Stellar Magus has a pretty interesting effect too. Vanguard Rearguard Circle, when she attacks, counterblast 1, declare one card name and reveal the top card of your deck. If the cards match, then you get to add the card to your hand. But if they do not match, then you countercharge 1 instead. So her cost was counterblast 1 to check the top card, but if you got it wrong, she just refunds you that, and now you know what the top card of your deck is, so you can then get it right for other effects, or if it's a trigger, you can just leave it up there, so that's also fine. And so otherwise, you get an extra card in hand. Counterblast 1 to draw 1 is pretty damn good, so that is also very nice. This card sees play in Tsukuyomi too. Then there's another very important support card for Magus, which is the Briolette Magus. So this is another way that you can know what the top card of your deck is, because her skill says Soul Blast 1 and draw 1. And then you put this card from the Rearguard Circle on top of your deck. So that way, you got to draw a card, so you're not like losing out on units in that sense, but you got to essentially just put a card on top of your deck, and now you know what it is, and you can declare it for all those declare effects until, you know, you finally get it right, and then you just add it to your hand. So this is really nice. Briolette Magus is really cool. Make sure not to use 2 of them in the same turn, because keep in mind that you Soul Blast 1, draw a card, put it on top, and then if you use another one, you're just going to draw the one that you previously put, so be careful not to do that. Anyway, moving on to the grade 3s. Oh, they're right here already. So we got 3 new grade 3s here as well. No fancy commons as far as I can tell, since they already released them in previous sets. So we got the Break Red for Magus, which is the hexagonal Magus. When you ride on top of her, for that turn your Vanguard gains plus 10k, and then you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add one of them to your hand, and put the remaining on top of your deck in any order. So that's another way that you can know what the top cards of your deck are and be able to predict them, and predict them, guess them, declare them for the Magus effect. So that's the best way to do it. And of course, just adding a card to your hand on Break Red is always great. It doesn't gain any extra crit, but you can always stack crits on top of there. So I'm just saying. So I've already done a video on Magus too, so you can go check that out as well. And then during your turn, if you have 2 or more cards in hand, she gains plus 3k. So that's her plus 3k condition. So what do you break right into? Well, the main card is Pentagonal Magus. So Pentagonal Magus says, Limb Break 4, when she attacks the Vanguard, you declare a card name and reveal the top card of your deck. If the cards match, then you add that card to your hand. So you get to draw for no counterblast. And then for that battle, she gains plus 5k and a crit on top of that. So for no cost whatsoever, just by being able to know what the top card of your deck is, you get to draw a card and get power and get crit. So this card is actually really good, and if you need more power, her second skill says counterblast 2 to gain 5k for that turn. So this is a really nice effect. This is kind of like the main grade 3 you go into, and that extra crit can help you win games. Pure Magus often plays 9 crit as well, so you can like one-shot your opponent a little bit faster. So it's also really cool. And then the other card that you can go into is the Floral Magus. So Floral Magus is kind of a different playstyle. So the Pentagonal is like big crits and big power. This one is just if you have a really small hand or something and you're lacking in cards, this is what you want to go into. So it says Limb Break 4 Vanguard Circle, counterblast 1, declare a card, and then reveal the top card of your deck. If the cards match, you add that card to your hand, and for that turn, this gains plus 5k power. But keep in mind, this is in the main phase, so you can do this skill for as many counterblasts as you have. So you have 4 open counterblasts, just do it 4 times, and just, you can sometimes just counterblast 1 even if you don't know what the top card is, just to see what it is, and then counterblast again to actually add it, and then do that again if you want to, because you only counterblast for these, like, prediction effects, so you can basically fill up your hand with something like this. Of course, you can use the checkers or like Briolette Magus and stuff like that to make sure that you hit and you can keep drawing without using too much counterblast, but still, Floral Magus is a really, really nice card as well, and usually is run. Her second skill is during your turn, if you have 2 cards or more in hand, she gains plus 3k, just like the Break Ride. So yeah, that's OTT. Pretty good support, very fun deck. Not the most competitive. Tsukuyomi still stays as kind of the #1 OTT deck still, but still very, very fun. Alright, and moving on to Angel Feather. Here we have Celestials as the archetype for Angel Feather. So Celestials are pretty fun. They have a pretty big like numbers going for them, and then from the old support you can make that into like a multi-attack, big numbers archetype. So it's pretty fun. I have a deck and fight for that as well. But let's take a look at what the new cards actually are. So we have the Celestial starter, Penuel. So her skill is, of course, Forerunner, and counterblast 1, put her into the Soul to take a Celestial from your damage zone and call it, and then put the top card of your deck into your damage zone. And if you called a card that was face down from your damage zone for this skill, then the card that you put from the top of your deck into your damage zone also goes face down. That way you don't get a free counterblast out of it, unfortunately, but it's still a pretty nice effect. Unfortunately, this starter isn't used that much because the other ones like Sunny Smile are just better because you get an extra heal and a game where heals are very important, so that's something to keep in mind. And then this is the when boosting Limb Break 4 unit, put it into the soul at the end of the battle to draw a card, so just like we saw for Royal, so nothing too new there. Then for grade 1s, we have the Celestial Perfect Guard, that works the same as the new Perfect Guards that we've talked about before. Then this is the Yekun, so her skill is, when placed, if you have a Zarakiel in the damage zone, which is like the main grade 3 for Celestials, whether it's face up or face down, if you have one in the damage zone, you can discard one and add one card to and draw one card. So this is a really nice effect because, I mean, the effect itself is whatever, but the nice thing is that they buffed Celestials by saying that your Zarakiel in your damage zone can be face down. So it doesn't have to be face up. You can have it already be face down from being counterblasted, and these effects that center of Zarakiel all go off. So that's also really, really nice. Then we have a 10k attacker if you have a Celestial Vanguard. Then we have a card that says, during your turn, if you have a Zarakiel in your damage zone, whether face up or face down, gain 3k. So 9k booster that is so easy to accomplish, we play those because this can go even further beyond. And with a 9k booster and a 12k attacker, you already get 21k columns, so that's already really good, and we can push that even further. Then I think these cards are older. I think that this is it for the new stuff. There's this one that's when place Rigor Circle for that turn, give another unit plus 2k. I feel like that might be new, and then this one is when it boosted Limit Break 4 unit for that battle, gain 3k. So I think those are the only new ones, because these ones are definitely older. But yeah, so those are the grade 1s. So Celestials overall got some nice, powerful, actually powerful grade 1s. For grade 2s, we have the 12k attacker when you have a Celestial Vanguard. So again, pairs up well with the grade 1 we just looked at. And one of the very important cards is the Sariel. Sariel says, Rearguard Circle, when placed, counterblast 1, search your deck for any card and put it into your damage zone, and then choose a card from your damage zone and put it into your drop zone. So this way you can tutor for any card in your deck and put it into your damage zone. Of course, it's basically, you know, it's a counterblast 1, and you have to put the card that you search face down, so you basically have to counterblast 2 for this skill. And you know, you can also choose the card that you counterblasted to put into the drop zone, so that way you're only counterblasting 1 in a way. But yeah, so this card is really good. You basically can search Zarakiel with her. You can also, you know, in the future search for very important cards that you need in your hand as well. So overall great card, definitely worth picking up right now as well. 10k vanillas for Celestials. I guess we didn't see 10k vanillas for Megas, huh? I just realized. And then we have the, during your turn, if you have a Limit Break 4 unit, gain 3k, grade 2. And then finally, we have the on attack counterblast 1, gain 4k unit as well. So those were the new Celestials. So it's nothing super crazy outside of the Sariel, but the 12k attacker is definitely going to be important as well. And then finally the grade 3s. So we have just a couple, not that many. I think this one is also new, if I'm not mistaken. So we got the, you know, plus 5k on Vanguard Circle Limit Break and plus 2k on Rearguard Circle when it attacks Vanguard. Common. Then we have the Rebirth Aura Phoenix, Reverse Aura Phoenix, or Rebirth Aura Phoenix. Beginning of main phase on Vanguard Circle, you can choose a card from your damage zone and put it on the bottom of your deck. And if you do, you take the top card from your deck and put it into your damage zone. For that turn, gain 3k. So lets you cycle through your damage. It doesn't take damage, so it doesn't like rescue check, but it still gets to kind of like take out the bad stuff from your damage zone and kind of gotcha into a better one. Not really a card that you see run much. Then we have the, this is Sandalphon, but it's a Celestial, so when he attacks, counterblast 1, gain 3k. You only run it for the Celestial name because Zarakiel actually cares about that. Then the break ride for Angels is Ramiel, so she will get a reverse cross ride in the future, so make sure you pick her up. She's only a double rare, and her skill says when you break ride over her, for that turn your Vanguard gains plus 10k. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, put one of them into your damage zone and put the rest on the back to your deck, and then you choose one card from your damage zone and add it to your hand. So basically, you get to look at top 3 to add something to damage zone, and then if you want, you can add that thing to your hand or something else that was already in your damage zone that you can then make plays off of. So pretty good break ride effect. It's not super phenomenal, but good enough for Angel Feather. And then her on attack Vanguard skill is also to gain 3k. Then we have Zarakiel. So Zarakiel is basically the main grade 3 for this deck that we've been talking about this whole time. She has 2 skills. Her second one is just counterblast 2 to gain 5k, much like Protagonal Magus, but that first one is the wall of text that you see here. So Limit Break 4, at the beginning of your battle phase, you may choose one of your Celestial Rearguards and put it into your damage zone. And then, if you did, you choose a Celestial from your damage zone and call it to the same Rearguard circle as that unit was on. Then, if you have a Zarakiel in your damage zone, whether face up or face down, for that turn, this unit gains the following ability. Vanguard Circle, all of your units gain plus 3k. So this is really quite the powerhouse. It basically gives plus 6k to all your columns. That 21k, column with a 12k attacker and 9k booster I talked about, 27 now. So I can get over like 2 defensives basically. Well, 1 defensive and 1 non-trigger defensive. But even then, that's really good. And keep in mind that you can still run the Hermier to like multi-attack. So the Hermier gets plus 3, so she's 13, she can swing alone, and then use her skill to call something else from your damage zone mid-battle phase, and then the booster is like big, like 9 or 10 or even bigger than that. And you can still boost with a new unit and get a 4th attack in there pretty reliably as well, and it's just great skill. So that damage swap skill is new, I believe, so she damage swaps first, so you can put like any random Celestial just to swap into whatever, like a 12k attacker, and then you can basically get the extra big buff. So you need Zerakiel in there for that. You can also call another Zerakiel that you had in your hand, put it into the damage zone, call something else out, and then the Zerakiel buff will be live, which is also really cool. So really good boss unit. I personally like running the multi-attack build that I have built around her. The other alternative boss unit is the Helm. So she has Calmas 1, gain 2k, so that's not that important, but the first skill is Limerick 4, Vanguard Circle once per turn, Calmas 1, choose 1 card from your damage zone, add it to your hand, and put 1 card from your hand into your damage zone. Sorry, it's the other order around. So first you put a card from your hand into your damage zone, and then you put a card from your damage zone into your hand. So it's like a no CL, you just like swap. And then if you took a face down card, then the card that you put into the damage zone also gets turned face down, and then for that turn she gains plus 5k. And then if you have a Helm, so her, in the damage zone, whether face up or face down, this unit gains a crit. So this is quite different from Zerakiel. Zerakiel gives all this power. Helm just gives an extra crit, but that can also be good in its own right, because you get to just rush down your opponent faster, or push them to 5, or eat up their PGs. But I personally found the multi-attack build with Zerakiel to be a lot more fun. Helm is cool, but I just feel like this is a lot more exciting to play personally. Alright, so that's Angel Feather, and now finally let's get into the final feature for today, which is Bermuda Triangle. So Bermuda got quite a few new cards, not too many, not a crazy amount, but still a pretty good amount, with a new archetype, which is Prism. So Prism is a pretty interesting limit break archetype that gets supported for quite a while actually, so it's a good one to invest in, even though it's not that great on release. So the starter is the Koro. Her skill is when one of your rear guards is returned to your hand, you can also return this card to your hand. So basically, if you see something bounce, she also bounces. So she's where her friends go, she goes as well. Anyway, then we have the Alk. When she boosts a Limit Break 4 possessing unit at the end of that battle, you can put it into the soul to draw card, so as we've seen before, but this card is pretty popular. It's, for whatever reason, a very famous unit. Then for grade 1s, of course, we have a new PG, which is not Prism, but it is a new PG, so keep that in mind. But we do have Prism support. We got Prism Image Clear. When she is returned to your hand from your guard circle, Soul Blast 1, and for that turn, one of your units gains plus 4k, so you can use that to build up good columns, so that's also pretty nice. Then we have a 10k attacker if you have a Prism Vanguard, so again, expected. And then we have the Karen. So this is not a Prism, but Karen says when returned to hand from your guard circle, count almost 1 and draw 1. So she's kind of like a Girls Rock Rio, but only count almost 1 and a grade 1 as well. So doesn't take up your grade 2 slots, and she's 7k rather than like 6k or anything like that. So pretty good card, does see some play. Then we have the Prism Promise rate. When she boosts Prism Promise Labrador, then you can Soul Blast 1 and she gains plus 5k, so 11k booster for Labrador, which is the main grade 3 of Prisms. Then we have the, when boosting Limerick 4 unit, gain 3k, so nothing too super special important. And then the rest of the stuff is older. Then we go on to the grade 2s. This is a promo that released with the Bermuda Cup in the Japanese format. I'm not sure if this is out in global yet, or if it will be released, and I'm assuming if it's not, then it will be eventually. This came out after this set came out, but not too soon after, so like, oh no, somewhat soon after actually. So her skill is just, when placed on Vanguard Circle, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, and basically add any grade 2 that isn't her, just ride it. So basically, she's like a ride fixer, but giving you a soul at the same time, so it's kind of nice. She wasn't in the actual set, but just something you might want to know about. Then 12k attacker for Prisms, as expected. Then we have the Charlotte. Her skill is when her attack hits a Vanguard, count almost 1, and then you return this unit back to your hand, and you choose a card from your hand that is not Charlotte, and call it to an empty rearguard circle. So basically, she just dips. She hits the Vanguard, and then she goes count almost 1, dip, and you call something else, and there you go. That's a fresh new attack. Just hope that you had boosters, so going first is definitely much better. So, still a pretty cool card. Then we have Karen grade 2 level, so she's leveled up, but she's still a Karen. Rearguard circle when bounced to hand, from rearguard circle, count almost 1, draw a card. Same effect as her grade 1, but just more bounce effects. Literally Girls Rock Rio, but on a 9k body this time. Then we have the 10k vanilla for prisms, and then we have the Celtic. So rearguard circle when returned to hand, Soul Blast 1, give another unit plus 4k, so same as the clear that we saw earlier. And then we have the Prism. During your turn, if you have Limerick for unit, gain 3k. So she is Prism named, which is important, but she's just an 11k attacker, kind of like the Jewel Knight one, basically. And then finally, we have the on attack almost 1 gain 4k girl as well. So that's the grade 2s, now the grade 3s at long last. Let's take a look at what we have. So first, let's look at the comments. This is a Prism. When boosted, gain 3k. You play because it's a Prism, that's basically all of it. Then we have the Ionia, so she's the 15k attacker on Vanguard Circle, Limit Break, and then 12k attacker on Rearguard Circle when attacking the Vanguard. Then we have the Minato, when your grade 3 Vanguard is placed, gain 10k. She's not a Prism, so keep that in mind. And then the break ride for Bermudas is the Ver. So Ver says, when you ride on top of her in Limit Break 4, for that turn your Vanguard gains plus 10k, and the following ability. Furthermore, draw 1 card. And then that following ability is, when the Vanguard attacks the opponent's Vanguard, you can return 2 of your rearguards back to your hand. This is really important for Labrador, and it's also really nice because this skill in the TCG was when you ride. So the fact they made it in the battle phase is actually really, really good. So that's a really nice buff for the break ride for Bermuda, so definitely very cool. Her other skill is Vanguard Circle during your turn. If you have 4 or more rearguards, gain 3k. So that's quite restrictive, but still alright. Then we have the Alk. So this is one of the alternative builds that you could make for Bermudas. So she has 2 skills, Limerick 4 Vanguard Circle. When she attacks the Vanguard for that battle, she gains the following skill. Vanguard Circle, at the end of that battle, you can choose a grade 3 in your hand and ride it as rest. So straight up ride in the middle of the battle phase in rest from your hand. If you did, you choose a card from your soul and add it to your hand and draw a card. So this is pretty cool because you basically get to ride a break ride from your hand and then add this card back to your hand so that next turn you can break ride with her over the card you just rode and then redo it. So you can keep looping break rides every single turn, and that's really, really cool. Plus you also draw a card from this, so that's also very nice. Her other skill is Vanguard Circle when placed, Soul Blast 1, and for that turn gain 5k, and then you can bounce one of your rearguards back to your hand, so you can trigger any on-bounce effect. So this is actually a pretty cool card. You can build some interesting meme decks with her, or not even meme decks, but just budget decks, so you can have fun with it. I haven't explored that myself personally, but it's still pretty damn cool. Then, this is Labrador, the main grade 3 for Prisms. So, her skill, her second skill is once per turn, count almost 1, bounce one of your rearguards back to your hand. So, again, to activate any on-bounce effects. And then Vanguard Circle Limerick 4, when she attacks the Vanguard, you choose 3 cards from your hand and call them to rearguard circles that have no units on them. So, that's why the break ride skill is so important, because you basically have to bounce stuff when you attack in order to call stuff on empty rearguard circles with Labrador. And then if you called 3 prisms, for that battle she gains plus 10k in a crit. So very important to open up, but keep in mind that because Rate's break ride skill is so important for this, you basically have to do break ride into Labrador, because Labrador on her own, she does not do any bouncing in the battle phase, so at least not for now. So it's a little bit lackluster, but still pretty cool card, and if you're a Bermuda fan, you will enjoy it. And finally, the other break ride that they got, which is the Planet Idol Pacifica. So this break ride is really good, actually. Limit Break 4, when you break ride over it, your Vanguard gains plus 10k for that turn, and the following ability. Vanguard Circle once per turn, whenever your rearguard is bounced to hand, you can choose any card you want from your deck and call it. So this works really well with the Pacifica Cross Ride, which bounces a card to call something. So it bounces 2 to call 1. So basically, if you break ride the Pacifica over this, you get to bounce 2, call 1, and then this card says, oh, you bounce something? Okay, call 1 more. So that's really, really good. Then her other skill is in the soul. If you have a you put a top idle Pacifica, so the very first Pacifica, into your soul, and then you add this card back to your hand and bounce one of your rear guards back to your hand. So if you want to build a full Pacifica deck, it works quite well, but this is a card you can splash into basically anything. There's quite a few things that bounce on battle phase, including the Pacifica, but you can also use the Alk, for example, to also work with it. So that's also quite cool, because keep in mind that Alk does say that when placed on Vanguard Circle, Soul Blast 1 to to bounce one of your rear guards. So that's also quite cool. But unfortunately, she does not actually bounce in the battle phase, so only when she is placed on the Vanguard Circle herself. So the Pacifica Crossride is actually pretty damn cool, and you can use it in a variety of decks, and I'm sure that creativity will only go up in the future. But yeah, that took quite a while, a little bit over half an hour. But we managed to take a look at basically everything that is coming in on this new set, set 10 in Vanguard 0. So it is a skippable set, as you probably saw from the cards in the set itself, but it is pretty cool. There is a lot of fun to be had with the cards that are actually in here, so do explore it if you feel like it. And of course, you know, if you're a fan of any of these clans, you will enjoy it, just like I really enjoy Jewel Knights and Celestials. So yeah, this was honestly really fun meta back then as well. But next set, set 11, will be very cool too. Kagero going to be really in the spotlight, as well as everything else that's in that set too, like Genesis. And then after that is Revengers. So save up your stuff if you're looking forward to those, or if not, then go ahead and go ham on this set too. But on that note, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching this set breakdown, and good luck with your packs tomorrow. And if you want to join us for some pack opening too, I will be opening set 13 packs for the Japanese server of Vanguard 0 on my live stream on Twitch. So there's a link in the description. We're going to start around 9 AM Central European time, so you can join us there on Tuesday, December 1st. But on that note, that's going to be it for me today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.